Hey everybody, what's up? This is Hold the Truth Hostage, where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies. Now, I got a request by Titanium Rubber, and I did a video previously on the heart, but I didn't get to finish it. It was supposed to be a lot longer, but Titanium Rubber gave me a request to go deeper on why you shouldn't lead with your heart, you know. And I'm gonna go further than that. In all honesty, this video is gonna be very important because it's gonna be a sequel to the video I made about why you should bench your heart. You see, we watch a lot of movies where they tell us to, lead with your heart, follow your heart, and so on, that, you got to face the world with your heart. In actuality, you have to understand a lot of these films we watch are best case scenarios. They're not only best case scenarios, they're fiction. And even if it's based on a true story, you have to look at that true story and look at the events and see, whether the case that occurred was, at a point where leading with your heart made sense. Now, Titanium Rubber brings up a very good perspective of when he watches films where the character leads with his heart. You watch a film like Rocky, you would see him, fighting and leading with his heart. And when he leads with his heart, he takes most of the pounding, he takes most of the beating. In reality, we should never lead or follow our heart. In all honesty, if I was to say you want to reference a film, I would say you want to look at Iron Man. And I know I was saying don't look at films, but you want to look at Iron Man. Now, if you watch the film Iron Man, he has to protect this thing on his chest, you know what I'm saying, that supplies power to his entire body. You see, that's how you got to look at your heart. You got to look at your heart as something you must protect, that actually leading with it is actually exposing it. Okay? That actually leading with your heart is actually exposing your heart to far more damage and risking your life a lot more. Because remember, you don't need to be able to see. You don't even need to be able to hear to follow your heartbeat, and that actually is, in all essence, that's you leading blindfolded. That's you. I did a video a long time ago where I said, do not ever lead with your feelings, because when you lead with your feelings, you're blind. You don't need to hear. You don't need to see. And what I tell people is try to cross the street in traffic with your feelings, and you'll see that you'll increase the odds of being hit by a car or so on. Even try to drive with your feelings. That's why I've come up with a system. You gotta look at life like a basketball game, and you gotta look at your basketball game is you got to ask yourself, in basketball, there are 5 players on your starting 5, and you have to look at your heart as a bench player. You got to look at your heart like the bench. You got to look at your mind as the coach. You know what I'm saying? But in actuality, as you got to look at a starting 5, and your heart must always be in the bench, on the bench. Never allow your heart to start the game. And you got to look at life like a basketball court, and you got to look at life that you would never star your heart, because your heart isn't good at decision making. Your heart isn't good at adapting. Your heart isn't good at anything that requires a sound of mind, thoughts. Your heart is just there to pump blood. It's here to pump that fuel that keeps the body moving. That's how you got to look at it. And in the court of life, you got to start these things. It doesn't matter if it's a relationship. It doesn't matter if it's business. It doesn't matter if it's anything. You always have to have these on your starting five. Your mind, just look at that. Your mind, your sight, your hearing, your, your sense of taste. You know what I mean? And and lastly, so I said your mind, your sight, your hearing, your ability to feel, because sometimes you'll have to feel things out. And then lastly, your taste. Sometimes you got to be able to taste things to know what's going on. Like you might smell something in a certain taste or an aroma in the air. And your sense of smell, should be like your sixth man. Your heart should always be on the bench. When you allow your heart to lead, you cast aside all the things I just mentioned that should be starting. Your mind, your mind, your sense of sight, your hearing, your feeling, and of course, your sense of smell. And I think taste should be your sixth man in life. And in actuality, that's how you got to look at it. In actuality, you got to look at it like this. Your coach on the court of life should be your mind. Then all the other senses, such as your sight, your hearing, your sense of smell, your sense of feeling, and hearing should be your starting five. And then number six should be, probably your gut instincts. Your heart should always be on the bench, warming up the bench and having no decision in your life. Because when you follow your heart, you're actually setting yourself up for self-destruction. Because, I know I'll use a relationship, for example. You got into a relationship and this person got your heart pumping, racing. So you ignored all the signs that your mind picked up that this person, is actually very self-destructive. This person maybe does or goes to events far more than that person spends time with their family. You see, you have to be able to always, that's why I say your mind should be your coach. You got to look at your mind and think, man, you got to look at this person. Don't use your feelings. Use your mind to judge the person. Yes, your heart is racing. You're attracted to this person and your feelings are racing, and you want to be with this person and you just get this pulse. But the problem with that is you become a slave to that need to be around this person because they have your heart racing and you place your mind and all the way in the back. So you're basically setting yourself for events that will lead to actually harming your heart. Your heart should be something you protect. So when you're protecting it, it's the biggest weakness you have because it, pumps all the fuel in your body. So you should never lead with something that literally powers your body. That if your heart were to be eliminated, you'd be gone. So for example, like I said, I've said this in previous videos, if you lead with feelings, the problem with feelings is that you need to constantly refill it. You need to refill those feelings. And unlike breathing, it's unnecessary. For example, I made a video called, existence. And I recommend any man on this channel that follows me, if you haven't watched that video, watch my video on existence. Because the truth is this, you as a man should be numb to feelings. Feelings should not be anything of importance to you. You know, we men are about results. You know, I poured some water in a cup until it was filled. Great. Now I can drink it. You know, or I filled it halfway. It's about the results you want. You leading with your feelings is failure, because check it out. You need to breathe. You know, if I don't breathe, I could die. You know what I'm saying? I could die. The results are death if I stop breathing. But if I run out of these feelings I have for somebody, I'm not gonna die. You know what I'm saying? That's why you don't lead with your, and here's the thing about the heart. You know, because people have watched so many films, they have a wrong aspect of leading with your heart. And, you know, they tend to look at leading with your heart with your emotions. You know what I'm saying? Rather than understand that the heartbeat is just about the fuel. The heart is basically how the blood circulates in the life fluid in your body. You know, and your awareness of your heart is actually to look at what would place it in a state of danger. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't do anything that slows down your heartbeat or makes it irregular. In actuality, a lot of people lead with their emotions. You know, in a lot of films, they've taught you, oh man, you got to follow your heart and all this stuff. Your heart, and these movies are basically subliminally telling you, do not have any thoughts when you make a decision. Don't have any thoughts at all. Lead with your heart. You know what I'm saying? They're basically telling you you're so stupid, you're going to make decisions without thinking them through. You're going to lead with this romanticized perspective that is your heart. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're basically saying. You as a man, we're about results. You know, that's why I say, please watch that video, Existence. And another thing is, feel free to, send me some requests. The reason I say send it, you could comment a request. You can email me at holdthetruthhostage@gmail.com. You know, the reason I need you to send me some stuff is that I've made so many videos, I tend to forget my next subject matter, you know, so email me, but message or comment, whatever, but back to it. Like I was saying, when you lead with your heart, you're actually asking someone, you're exposing the most vital organ besides your skin. You know what I'm saying? Your skin is actually one of the most vital organs because it's all over your body. But when you lead with your heart, you're literally setting yourself up to be destroyed. You know what I'm saying? You're leading with what fuels your body. What they're really telling you to do is lead with your emotions. And when you lead with your emotions, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're placing yourself in the hands of someone that's leading with their mind. And when they lead with their mind, they're manipulating you. You know what I'm saying? You as a man cannot afford to lead with anything other than your mind. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter if this makes you feel good. Like I was saying, you gotta look at things like this. You know, you need to breathe. You know what I'm saying? You need to breathe. If you hold your breath too long, you die. But if you go months, you go minutes without feeling a particular way about somebody, you ain't gonna die. But if you place all your investment in your feelings and your quote unquote romanticized thoughts on what leading with your heart is about, you're setting yourself up for self-destruction because you're leading with something that constantly needs to be refueled, needs to be refueled with the same level of emotion. You know what I'm saying? When you lead with your heart, oh, she makes my heart race. I can't control myself. I can hear my heart beating, and I can't think. Listen to that. You're literally explaining what you're doing to set yourself up for failure. And another thing is, any man that leads a relationship with their heart is actually very risky for their their female counterpart or whoever they're in a relationship with, because you're basically saying in this relationship you will not bring any reasoning, any thought to it, just strictly emotion. So it's gonna be, at some point you're gonna get numb to that person. Your heart won't beat as fast, so you're gonna need this person to increase their interactions with you to get your heart racing again. And that'll eventually lead to you destroying that relationship. You know what I'm saying? So you have to, in the court of life, you should never have you should always bench your heart. Your heart should always be in the bench, watching all your other aspects of who you are on the court of life. Like I said, your mind should be your coach. And the reason I say your mind should be your coach is that usually when you think about something, you go into your mind, and it's like you're asking yourself questions to analyze what's going on. So who would a player in a basketball game go to? They would go to their coach. That's why your mind should be your coach in life. Your mind, you should always reach out to your mind and your thoughts to figure things out. Then the rest of the things on the court of life, like I said, your sight, your sense of feeling, which is the skin organ, your sense of smell, your hearing, and your sight. Those are what you lead with. And the sixth man, is that other sense I forgot. But that's your taste should be your sixth man. Because sometimes you gotta taste something, like you don't even need to chew or eat it. Sometimes you could just taste something by chewing the air, and you could tell something ain't right, in your gut feelings. You should never lead with your heart. It don't even matter, like Titanium Rubber told me, in all honesty, it don't even matter if you're in a great country, where manhood is legal. Because here's the ultimate thing a lot of guys in the manosphere won't tell you, what I'm saying? They forget to tell you is that even if the laws are good, the laws are great, that doesn't matter, because that person you're in love with and you're dedicated to. I don't like using the word love. That's you leading with your emotions. But that person you're dedicated to, what I'm saying? You're dedicated to, if you lead with your heart, you're going to place yourself in a state of danger. You know what I mean? You're going to be more dangerous to that person, because when you see relationships break up, a lot of times is the guy, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times the guy becomes so reactive because he's working off of impulses, the heart, you know what I'm saying? Or emotions, allowing those to lead his path rather than his thoughts to analyze the situation. So you have to, in life, you should not ever lead with your heart. And like I was saying, even if you're in a great country, one of the biggest issues a lot of men in the manosphere don't cover, a lot of men in general don't want to cover is, the woman you're with is another individual. So even if you're in a country where they don't have his fault divorce, if you don't have, child support and all the tools that unjustly are used to destroy a family, Section 8, all these tools used to destroy a family, that woman you're dealing with is an individual. That means you could be with her for the next 5-10 years. Y'all could have an overseas relationship. Then out of nowhere, she cheats or cheats on you and brings another man. You have to be ready, and you have to look at everything is temporary. Everything is temporary except your loyalty to self-conservation, your loyalty to ensuring that you do what's best to keep yourself healthy and alive as long as you can, without harming others. That's how you got to look at it. So even if you were overseas in a relationship, the situation is perfect. At the end of the day, that person you're with, that woman you're with, is another individual. So there might come a day where, even if the relationship is perfect, the scenario is perfect, there might come a day where she'll step out of it. And you have to be prepared to just accept that. And that preparation of accepting that is viewing that woman as an individual. She has her own mind, she has her own thoughts. So, if she makes a decision that ends the relationship, you accept it and you move on. That's something they don't show a lot or talk a lot about in manosphere. There's not a lot of self-preparation and self-protection and all that. So a lot of times these relationships end up in a lot of pain and suffering where the man, even if it's overseas, there's some guys that their wife is in Thailand or they have multiple baby moms and other, let's say Thailand for now. You got two baby mothers and one of them's cheating on you, whatever. And that man snaps and all that, goes in a pit of rage for no reason. At the end of the day, a woman, just like a man, is an individual. You know what I'm saying? And nothing between you and an individual is permanent. That level of loyalty and trust is not permanent. The only thing that's permanent when it comes to trust and loyalty is what you have for yourself. You know what I'm saying? And even for yourself, you got to understand. I mean, think about it. Even when it comes to trusting yourself, you're technically, and if you're not mentally sound, all it takes is the wrong level of peer pressure or a trend, and you might actually you participate in self-destruct. You know what I mean? A lot of men don't want to admit that, a lot of us are living in restraints. We're restraining ourselves. If we were to fully allow ourselves to be loose, we wouldn't be alive tomorrow. We'd be dead. If you allowed yourself to indulge in everything, you had no level of discipline and self-control, you'd be done for. You'd be dead. So you got to look at it like that if you're, limiting yourself, you know what I'm saying, for the betterment of yourself. And you have to understand, you only have control of yourself. You know what I mean? That whole perfection of a relationship thing, it's BS. A lot of the community, a lot of people watch too many movies and sell this story of fiction. Even if it's in reality, they were married, my folks were married for over 60 years, 80 years. Yeah, that happened. Yeah, but there's a lot of circumstances for something like that to happen. Even in other countries, you know what I'm saying? You don't know the complete picture. You know what I mean? The cover isn't always the story, that's in the book, so you have to, as a man, you have to practice conservation, and you have to be aware that no matter the scenario, that woman is like you, an individual, and has her own choices she will make. There is no such thing as, and here's the thing about perfection. Perfection isn't that, nothing's going wrong. Perfection is actually you understanding what's going on. That is actually true perfection. That whole BS of, they got the perfect relationship. They talk, they this, they that, they this. It's BS. Perfection is understanding. And another reason you have to, and this is the ultimate flaw with this community, you'll have a lot of men saying, the world doesn't love us. The world doesn't appreciate us. It's BS, man. We men are all about results. You go to work, you did your job. That's what you're worried about. You did your job. You don't need your job to say, man, We appreciate you. We love you. You're such a great employee. No, dude, we're about results. That caveman who started the fire was all about, man, how do I start it again and how do I keep it going? He didn't care about the appreciation of the other caveman and all that. The world in men in the laws of manhood, the world doesn't, need to love us or appreciate us. The world respects us. That's all that matters. Respect and results. R&R. Respect and results. That's all that matters. This whole love thing. And the other thing is, a lot of men don't look at this perspective, because I'm about to end this video. But a lot of men don't look at the other perspective is that, man, we men are seeking to conquer something we've never conquered. And that's leaving the earth. That's stuff that lies outside of this earth. You gotta look at our history. You know what I mean? If you count the times we've been in space, they're nothing compared to the amount of time we've been on this earth. So how do you end up conquering space? Let me tell you this. You can't conquer or participate in space exploration with the same process we have on this earth. You know what I'm saying? You watch a lot of movies. I plan to do a video on this called A False Future. Because you watch a lot of movies, they show man and woman in space together. You know what I'm saying? Families, it's BS. It's more resources being used. So you're telling me that we're gonna go in space and where there's less gravity, even if there's artificial gravity created, it's gonna need more resources. So we're gonna go in space. And a lot of people have watched Gundam where you watch the colonies, but for the current time and technology we have, and in all honesty, Dan, I don't want to rant, but I gotta start doing some ranting videos. But in all honesty, dude, when we go to space, we're gonna need men to go to space without the need of the 9-month breeding perspective. We're gonna need to be able to self-replicate, where they just take a few cells and some DNA and recreate a new human. So to do that, you won't need the relationship between man and woman. That's what we're preparing for. The destruction, what Western society's doing, I don't agree with how they're doing it. They could have went about another alternative way, but they're basically destroying and eradicating the relationship between man and woman. They're pressuring man to create a possibility where a man no longer needs a woman to replicate and breed. And that's what the West is doing. The West is really pushing that and, pushing it. And that's why you see all these laws, Section 8s, where the government intentionally supports the destruction of a household. Child support, where there's no equal representation, and it's not even, family court isn't even under civil or regular court. It just operates on its own as a scam to take money. You know what I'm saying? Then you have the alimony and all of it. It's all to push man over the edge mentally. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no point in the history of man, where man hasn't seeked out woman. You know what I'm saying? So what the government is doing is it's pushing man. We've already had that sheep that was born through the artificial womb and all that. You know what I'm saying? And you have surrogacy, where there's so many things going on that's breaking the natural order of man breeding with women. You know what I'm saying? And what's going on is, this is why all the laws are pushing this great divide. This is why in the West, your UKs, your Americas, your Australias, anything formed like the West is designed intentionally to push man towards a divide between man and women. And what's going to happen is we do not live in, You know, we men do not live in issues. You know, we do not live in failure. We live in solutions. So what's going to happen, I won't go further, but this great divide, there's a purpose. And another thing is, a lot of these men leading with their hearts and emotion are literally, they're so nationalistic that they're placing their need for a woman based on where they live, when in reality, we're in a global society now. You know, if you're looking to start a family, you go overseas. If the laws are what they are, it's basically this. The stop sign is basically green. You know, all the cars are driving. Just because you want it to be red doesn't mean it's going to be red, you know? So you have to accept the laws. You have to accept the laws for what they are and move on. You know, a lot of the problems with the manosphere when it comes to relationships is a lot of these men don't want to tell you the truth that happiness lies overseas, you know, or happiness or this family you want to start lies overseas. So, you know, that's what it really has become. But they're afraid to tell you that. You can't go against the law and the grain. You have to just accept the laws for what they are and go somewhere where they're not like that. It's really that simple, you know? So, you know, like I said, man, do not lead with your heart. Do not lead with the organ that's so important to pumping and fueling your body. Do not lead with emotions. You always keep those two on the bench. In life, in the court of life, your coach should be your mind. On the court, your 5 starting players should be your sight, your hearing, your smell, your feeling, and of course, you know what I'm saying, man, I forgot. So on the court, sight, hearing, touch, smell, and I guess taste, and then your gut instincts. So to me, man, this has been hold the truth hostage, where if the truth was so important, wouldn't negotiate with lies. Remember, bench, keep your emotions and your heart on the bench. Never lead with those, ever. Doesn't matter. You know, I'll probably do an alternative or, you know, deeper dive into certain aspects I mentioned. But peace.